Um, Good afternoon to everyone. I would like to share one of the things that I've shared on Facebook here on YouTube. So I'm gonna read it out, uh, which is very important, and there's a reason why I shared this. Right, in South Africa, we are in a predicament now. We need to take our land as the man to people because the system that the ANC government left to continue when they took over from the colonizers. It's not working for us. Instead, our people are getting to more frustration, depression, especially caused by economy, that is the finances or their livelihood. And it's as a result, I don't know whether it's deliberate. I'd like to think, in fact, it is deliberate. It is by design that our people are made to suffer, you know, because there's no reason why, when the ANC took over, they didn't change the whole system back to how things were before. And if the ANC is to change everything, it has to start with the land, right? And I didn't search for the video. There was a video where the Khoisan or the Kwekam, I don't know, but it was a leader of the Khoisan or Kwekam people. In a way, they came to the building where the president um, uses when he does his administration stuff. In a way, he came to threaten him when there was a talk on acting on taking our land. It's like they came to threaten him. And I don't understand the threat when when the ruling government is supposed to be taking our land, taking back the land, and giving it back to the people. And I'll talk about that now that I don't want to mention it. So they came in a way to threaten the president. And that did not sit right with me because what do you mean? It's obvious that they're gonna take the land and distribute it amongst the natives of the land, the natives, which is the black people. And I assume that the Khoisan are black people. Some say they are black, some say they are not. That's their own business. That's not mine. Okay. And then now and when there was again, before it was Ramaphosa who was ruling, before Ramaphosa, there was again an attempt to take back the land. And we had something like a bio weapon. Excuse me, my lips were dry. When there was a talk about taking the land again, in, and then all of a sudden, our people were being, they had a food poisoning of some sort when they were eating um, this brand. They produce palonis and other stuff. I don't know what is this brand, but there was food poisoning on that thing. And I believe, okay, I didn't do any investigation, but my question is, why would our people have a sudden food poisoning on a product? It's something enterprise, but it's a polony of some sort. So why would our people be having food poisoning on a product they buy on a daily basis, and all of a sudden, when you talk about taking back our land, then all of a sudden, our people, especially in Joburg, they had this food poisoning when consuming this product. And so there is an issue around our land in South Africa, and it needed to be clear who are the owners of this land. And there is also the Khoisan, Kwekam people, They believe that they are the native, and it's the agenda that is pushed by the colonizers. Every time we talk about taking back our land, and they tell us as the Bantu people, you're not the owners of this land, and you coming from, you're a Bantu migrators, you Bantu migration, you're coming from the north, and what, and what have you. And so we are in this dilemma because of a propaganda against the Bantu people. And so our people in sub-Saharan Africa, in fact, let me talk about South Africa, because I think some probably Namibia, they also need to take their land. They do not yet own their land as well, Namibia. And so when you talk about taking back our land, they always bring this up. We are not the natives and what have you. And so there's the lie, they are liars, which they pushed in education as well. And so they're telling us that we're not the natives of the land, and we came in from the north, and we first colonized they call the Khoisans the indigenous people and what have you, when they are when they are not. So I wanted to make it clear that the Khoisans, the Kwekam, whom the colonizers call the Khoisan, they are not the indigenous people of the land. So I would like to read what I shared on Facebook, and then read the scriptures that I read from the book of Jubilees, and then continue talking after I'm done sharing or reading this, right? So I'm going to start reading, right? So I'm saying here, the Bantu, the Bible is the Bantu nations history books. Not only the history books, it's a declaration from our prophets. Also, not only declarations about the prophetic things that are to take place, also it's a book of the laws and the statutes of the Most High. And also, yes, it does hold the historical events of what took place during the time of our people, when our people had were documenting, and the books were still with us, because these books were taken from a kumcha. They're not the Dead Sea Scrolls. That is also another lie, right? So the Bible is the Bantu history books, also the books of the laws, and also the declaration of the declared by our prophets, and right. And yes, our books, when our people were invaded, it was taken. They were taken um, by the Romans and the Greeks. By the Romans and the Greeks, right? And then, okay, so sub-Saharan Africa is the land, or was the land, given to Shem, right? So Noah divided the land among his sons, and sub-Saharan Africa was given to Shem. So Abana, who's Abram, according to the Bible, and his descendants, the Bantu nations, we come from Shem. And also, so Canaan occupied the land illegally that was given to Shem. His father and his siblings warned him in an attempt to rob the rightful owners of this land. The history that is the Bible was manipulated, right? So by lot, Noah allocates the inheritance to his sons, and the best of the earth is given to Shem and his descendants. It is said that the land is neither hot nor cold, and that it was southern. Sorry. It is said that the land is neither hot nor cold, and that is what Southern Africa is. You'll find that in the book of Jubilees, chapter 8, 11 to 19. Canaan, who is the father of the Hittites, the father of Kwekam, that is the Khoisan, according to the colonizers, came and occupied the land of Shem illegally. His father and siblings warned him, but he did not listen. That is how sub-Saharan Africa became the land of Canaan. That is why you find to this day that the Khoisan are under this false narrative that they are the indigenous people of this land, and are not, and will never be, unfortunately. You'll find that in the book of Jubilees, chapter 10, 29 to 34. Okay. Our great grandfather Abana, that is Abram, is told to move from the land of Canaan of the Chaldeans to the land that the Most High Creator will show him. The Most High Creator makes a covenant with him when he arrives in the land. And also, he tells Abana that him and his descendants should occupy this land. Now, they do that. They sit. I didn't write that down, but they do sit, and Abana continues to multiply until he brings forth his great grandson, that is Akobi, that is Jacob, according to the Bible. Ne? So because of famine, Akobi now and his household leaves for Egypt, and they return to the land after, and they return back to this land after 200 plus years. Maza, that is Moses, leads the Bantu nations back to this land, that is the promised land, or the land that Abana was told to occupy. Ne? So he's told to move back to this land. Sorry, Moses leads the Bantu nations back to this land, and is called in the movement, or the move from Egypt to this promised land, the whole land. It's called the Bantu migration instead of calling it the Exodus, right? And because the colonizers were deliberately removing us from the Bible, completely alienating us from the Bible, so that we do not see ourselves in the Bible. So they had to change the history. This is one of the many manipulations that has been done. They were not truthful about it. So they lied about it in the Bible. That is supposed to be the truth, right? So this is one of the manipulations they did. And so the change was done so that the Bantu nations would be stripped of the rights to this land. Hence, I said before that our people, whenever we bring up the issue of taking back the land, we are told we migrated to this land and what have you, we are not the indigenous people of this land, and so on and so on, because of this. Instead of the colonizers telling the truth, of course, they will never tell the truth because they're not the offspring of this truth. Anyway, so sub-Saharan Africa is the land that was given to our great-grandfather, Shem, and then given to his descendants, Abana and the Bantu, Abana and his children, that is his children, the Bantu nations, to occupy. So we, the Bantu nations, took back the land that was given to our great-grandfather, Shem, and passed down to us, the Bantu nations. So we never took the land that belonged to someone else. This land has always been our land. And so now let's go. I'm going to read. Okay. So now this is a passage in the book of Jubilees where it talks about, no, I'm going to start from here. Yes. I want to start here where Noah allocates the inheritance. So it's Jubilees, chapter 8, from verse 11 to 19. And so Noah, and he called his sons, and they drew nigh to him. And, okay, he called his sons, and they drew nigh to him, they and their children. And he divided the earth into the lots, which his 3 sons were to take in possession. And they reached forth their hands and took the writing out of the bosom of Noah, their father. And they came forth on the writing as Shem's lot, the middle of the earth, which he should take as an inheritance for himself and his sons for the generations of eternity, from the middle of the mountain range of Rapha, from the mouth of the waters, from the river Tina, and his portion goes towards the west through the midst of this river, and it extends till it reaches the water of the abysses, out of which this river goes forth and pours its waters into the sea. Okay. I don't know what does that mean, meet or me at. I'm not sure about that. And this river flows into the Great Sea. And the and all that is towards the north is Japheth's, and all that is towards the south belongs to Shem. And it extends till it reaches Karaso. This is the bosom of the tongue which looks towards the south, and his portion extends along the Great Sea, and it extends in a straight line till it reaches the west of the tongue which looks towards the south. For this sea is named the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and it turns from here towards the south, towards the mouth of the Great Sea, on the shore of its waters, and it extends to the west to Afra, and it extends till it reaches the waters of the river Gihon, and to the south of the waters of Gihon, to the banks of the river. Ah. And it extends towards the east till it reaches the Garden of Eden, to the south thereof, to the south, and from the east of the whole land of Eden and of the whole east, it turns to the east and proceeds till it reaches the east of the mountain named Rapha, and it descends to the back or to the bank of the mouth of the river Tina. This portion came forth by Lot for Shem and his sons, that they should possess it forever unto his generations, forevermore, for forevermore. And Noah rejoiced that this portion came forth for Shem and for his sons. And he remembered all that he had spoken with his mouth in prophecy. For he had said, Bilaga be the Most High of Shem, and may the Most High dwell in the dwelling of Shem. And he knew that the Garden of Eden is the Holy of Holies, and the dwelling of the Most High, and Mount Sinai, the center of the desert, and the Mount Zion, the center of the navel of the earth. These three were created as holy places facing each other. Right. And then let's go to the, okay, let's go and read again. Now we're going to read the part where Canaan is occupying the land that is not his. And so, Jubilees 10, 29 to 34. And Canaan saw the land of Lebanon to the river of Egypt. That is, sorry. And Canaan saw that, and Canaan saw the land of Lebanon to the river of Egypt, that it was very good. And he went not into the land of his inheritance to the west, that is to the sea. And he dwelt in the land of Lebanon, eastward and westward, from the border of Jordan and from the border of the sea. And Ham, his father, and Cush and Mizraim, his brothers, said unto him, Thou hast settled in a land which is not thine, not yours, and which did not fall into us by lot. Do not do so. For if thou dost do so, thou and thy sons will fall in the land and be accursed through sedition. For by sedition ye have settled, and by sedition ye will thy children fall, and thou shalt be rooted out forever. dwell not in the dwelling of Shem, for to Shem and his sons did it come by their lot. Cursed art thou, imagine, cast art thou, and cursed shall thou be beyond all the sons of Noah, by the curse by which we bound ourselves by an oath in the presence of the holy judge and in the presence of Noah our father. But he did not hearken unto them. That means he did not listen, and dwelt in the land of Lebanon, from Hamath to entering of the Egypt, he and his sons unto this day. Right. So I've learned from also one of the elders who had mentioned that, which gave me, also brought to me a light, sort of like a light bulb, when he mentioned that the Hittites, right? Of course, the Hittites is Canaanites, right? And then this is for educational purposes only. This is not to be derogatory or whatsoever. It's for educational purposes only. So there is a derogatory term that I've learned in primary school. I went to French Joubert Primary School. I was with a colored, I was in a colored school. So, in the 90s or 80s, 90s, not 90s, somewhere there in the 90s. So this colored teacher was like telling us, right, that if I'm laughing because she's an older person. I don't think she was supposed to teach us that, but that is what she told us. She was not supposed to do that or tell us that. So that is where I got this from, what I'm going to say now. So she so in the 90s and in the 80s, apartheid and the segregation stuff were very ripe, right? And so she was telling us that whenever one of these colored kids are calling us the K word, and then she told us that we should call them their H word. There's this derogatory term, which is my first time hearing of the word, the Hottentot. The Hottentot, right? This is for educational purposes only. So that is that is where I first heard this word from this colored woman, who's also a Kwekam or a Khoisan also, by the way. So she just told us that if they start calling us the K word, we must throw in the H word as well, right? And now the second time I hear about this now is from Elder. Now he talks about this word Hottentot, and he says that this word Hottentot comes from the word Hittite. Hittite is the son of Canaan. And that was like, wow. And so that is where I learned Uguti, the Hittites, where you get this derogatory term Hottentot, is what Canaan. That is where the Kwekam, the Khoisan, come from. That is who Canaan is, right? That is where I got this from. Firstly, when I heard of the word, I first heard it in primary in the 90s from my colored teacher. That's what she told me. And the second time I heard about this word is from Elder Zonad recently, right? You can go to his channel and go listen to his teachings. Okay, so now this issue of our land. Every time we bring up the issue of us as the Bantu taking back the land, there's always an issue of that we are not the natives of the land. And here in the book of Jubilees, it proves that we are the natives of the land. Whether we left here for 200 years because of famine, we came back. If I leave my possession, my asset, and I did not give it to anyone to look after or whatever, and I left it there, when I come back, I expect to find it there. No one should take it if they're not given it by anyone, especially by me, the owner. So it does not matter if we left for 200 years and then we came back and what have you. Obviously, they established themselves and what have you. And during the time of Abana, obviously, we were our people, ancestors were very few in number. And so I've shared this post because my mission, it is to debunk this narrative the Kwekam or the Khoisan have about them being the natives of the land. They are not the natives of the land. And I've shared this so that we can move on, so that the government, or if the government is not willing, our kings, I'm talking about our true kings, right? Our kings, the reason why I say true kings, because I know that there are those royal houses who are entertaining this thing of being paid by the government, whatever money they are being paid. And so it's like they are comfortable with the arrangement. While we, the people, ordinary people, are suffering in this system that is not ours. And it's high time that we take our land, because this system is not working for us. The system is not working for us. It was not designed for us. And it's high time that we reject the system and occupy our land. And now there is an issue where some of the people that call themselves our people, because our people, the Bantus, they intermingled with the Canaanites. And you find in the Xhosa people, you find a lot of Canaanite people amongst us, the Kwekam people, and they are beginning to identify themselves. They are beginning to identify themselves that they are Kwekam people. And I think the reason why they are beginning to also identify themselves, they I don't know if I'm going to have the right term for this. Because we've intermingled with the Kwekam people or Canaan or Khoisan or Canaan people a lot. It's like we must be okay with an arrangement that we should accept the things the way they are. I don't know how to describe the situation that is happening right now. I don't know what is happening. I don't know what is the motive, rather, of them identifying themselves and like being out in the open that they belong to the Kwekam, Whereas I would say before the system, the colonial system, lumped us all in one group and called us the Xhosa people and what have you. Yes, the Xhosa people did dominate, and they were absorbed. They were subdued. Yes, Canaan was subdued eventually, right? And eventually they were absorbed to being Xhosa people before the colonialists did that by them, continued with that arrangement. And so I believe now the Kwekam people identifying themselves as they are the Kwekam coming out in the open and entertaining this narrative that they are the indigenous people of the land and what have you. It's like the resentment in their DNA, because our people, the Bantu people, took back the land from their ancestors. So my point is this: we as the Bantu people, we are in this dilemma where we need to take back our land. And then every time we take back, we want to take back our land, or we raise the issue of taking back the land. Then you find the Kwekam people and the colonizers talking about it, the indigenous people of the land, and that we are not in what have you. And you find that the Kwekam are okay with this arrangement of the oppressors oppressing us and what have you, or they are very much okay with that thing. And so we need to stand against the claim the Kweklam have of the land. We need to stand against that claim, and we need to rise and take back the land. And some of our people, because there is no way you can be a muntu and you'll be selling out your people. I don't believe that. The people who are selling our people, it is those people who have always have a vendetta against the Bantu nations. And so, and they have this underlying issues against the Bantu people, right? Dating back from their ancestors, that is the Kweklam. And this resentment they have against us because we took the land back from them. And so it is natural for them to sell us out. And now we cannot continue and being and just because all of us are Black people and continue to and be in this delusion that we are one people when we are not one people, or we are not the same people. Because I do not believe that as a Bantu people, one of us would sell us out. The people who will sell us out, it is those people who were oppressed by our ancestors until they were absorbed into us, and they forcibly became the Xhosa people. That is, the Kweklam people were absorbed into the Xhosa tribe, and they were eventually called the Xhosa people. Those are the people who will be selling us out, and those people, they need to be identified. And the people who are okay with the arrangement of us being oppressed by the oppressor, we need to differentiate ourselves from those people and stand together as the true Bantu people and take back the land. Because it is obvious the Kweklam are okay with the arrangement of us being oppressed. They are okay with the arrangement of because it's obvious, it's also even in their case, because they're not supposed to be here. With them being oppressed by other people because they know it's their fate, because they're not supposed to be here. And so it is natural for them to be selling us out. For that reason, we cannot lump each other, we can lump us all in one group, and just because all of us are Black, and we lump us all in one group and force other people who are not Bantu to be allied to us or be one with us. We as the Bantu nations need to take a stand and take back our land. Because it is clear the Kweklam are resentful, and they hate that, they know that it is not their land, and they hate that we are gonna be taking our land, and we're gonna be ruling over them. In fact, not even ruling over them, we're gonna be ruling in our land, and they happen to be here. And naturally, they're gonna be subdued to us, or they're gonna be under us, because this is our land, and we cannot be apologetic about that. And so we cannot lump us all in one group and say we are all Blacks, knowing that some of the people who call themselves Blacks are busy selling us out. And we know that those people who are selling us out are those who are resentful against the Bantu people, because they know who they are. And so that is the dilemma that we have. Now that we know who's who, we as the Bantu nations need to come together and take back our land. And we cannot continue and bring in amongst us people who are not Bantu, people who are not for us. That is, to put it blatantly, there are people who are not for us. There are people among us who claim to be our people who are not our people and who are not for us. Those are the people who are the first to sell us out. And so now is a time to ditch the system, the colonial system, get rid of the system and take back the land. And no land should be under any municipality. Give the land back to the people, to the Bantu families. The land does not belong to any government. This land does not belong to any municipality. It belongs to the Bantu families. It belongs to a Muntu, to a Bantu family. Not to every black person. No, it belongs to the Bantu family. And this is not being prejudiced. We were given, as the Bantu people, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we were given an instruction that this is the Holy Land. And we are the chosen people to be a holy people of their land. And there is a way of living in this holy land. And it starts with Ubuntu. And Ubuntu does not mean tolerating nonsense from other people. Ubuntu judges nonsense when it needs to. Doesn't mean we must take nonsense and tolerate nonsense and be walk over from other people just because of we are practicing Ubuntu or we are working in Ubuntu. No. So those of you who have the patience to speak English and be articulate about this thing, you can continue to do your research and share it with your proper English, if I may put it that way. Please do so. Continue and dig deeper. But as the Bantu in South Africa, it is high time because the system is not working for us. The system is not working for us unless you are deliberately working against us. The system is not working for us. We need to take back our land. And those that are not okay, do not want this, they do not want us to take back our land. They can begin to pack up their things and they can begin to go. People who are for us are people who will encourage us to take back our land. This is the Holy Land. It belongs to the holy people, the Bantu nations. Ubuntu is holy. Even when Ubuntu judges lawlessness and wickedness and nonsense, it is still holy. Doesn't mean we must be walk over of nonsense from other people just because we practice Ubuntu. No. Those who are for us will encourage us to take back the land. But those who are against us will discourage us and continue to push the propaganda. Even against that, even with that, we need to take back our land. Matondo Masaka. Okay, so thank you very much. That is all I wanted to share with you people concerning the post that I shared on Facebook.